is enough for me, and I claim the right to have it defended against any consensus, any majority, anywhere, any place, any time. And anyone who disagrees with this can pick a number, get online, and kiss my ass.
No representation is made that the quality of legal services to be performed are greater than the legal services performed by other lawyers.
In a 6-2 decision Friday, the Alabama Supreme Court denied an attorney's request to review judicial orders filed in the civil case against Fairhope restaurant owner Ronan McSherry, who is being sued by the woman he shoved off the bar stool in 2018. This is still going on. Let's see. Mr. Donardi's case, I believe that some of the trial court's rulings were so exceptional that they warranted an Alabama Supreme Court immediate review.
Okay, so first of all, these decisions made by the court were made in the civil case. Ms. Donardi is suing Ronan McSherry for knocking her off the bar stool and the resulting injury.
Right.
These decisions that they're appealing are decisions that Judge Stankowski made related to what evidence would be allowed, what things would be excluded, things like this. And what Ms. Donardi's attorney is saying is that while these are balls and strikes that the judge should call, they should have been done in a hearing. And giving her an opportunity to tell the court why it was imperative that they have access to these records. So continue. And one more time, we've been through this, and you've been through it with us. A writ of mandamus is an extraordinary writ.
Absolutely.
And courts or appellate courts, a lot of times.
Explain what the mandamus is.
Well, a writ of mandamus is an extraordinary writ where you're asking a higher court to order a public official to do something. In other words, they could have ordered Judge Stankowski to vacate that order that he made related that Mr. McDonald had issue with, and order him to hold hearings on these issues, go through the proper procedure. So the fact that there was no majority opinion, there was only one dissent. And do you have that highlighted? Can you tell us what the dissent was?
Well, that is Justice Sarah Stewart, and quote unquote, it is my belief that before sealing the record in a case which prevents the public from gaining knowledge of the issues involved in the litigation, a trial court is required, pursuant to the court's established precedent, to determine whether the movant has met his or her burden of demonstrating by clear and convincing evidence that the requested filings are due to be sealed. And this is now I'm quoting out of Rob Holbert's follow-up article to Mr. Times, where Supremes missed the chance to set the record straight. Let's see, there is one thing I wanted to, in the Donardi case, back to Gabe Times, in the Donardi case, I believe some of the trial court's rulings were so exceptional that they warranted the Alabama Supreme Court's immediate review. And 2 days after Lagniappe published a report on the dismissal, the city appealed Stankowski's decision, Judge Stankowski's decision, to the Alabama Supreme Court Criminal Appeals. There, presiding Judge Mary Wyndham determined that the city's appeal was filed after the 14-day statutory deadline, but gave the city an additional 14 days to show cause. The city didn't reply or respond, and the appeal was ultimately dismissed. That was handled by Marcus McDowell, the city attorney for Fairhope, who has just been, he will be the attorney again for Fairhope, put in there by Jack Burrell. So we'll be following that part of it. Now, this McSherry case is really getting out of hands, folks. This is going to be a high-profile case where it's moving.
Previously on Prison Break.
Previously on Desperate Housewives.
Previously on Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Previously on Brothers and Sisters.
Previously on 24.
Previously on Damages.
The one thing I want to talk about mostly tonight is the Paula Donardi case and McSherry. Now, this with McSherry's been going on for over 10 years.
I've advocated for 3 different people in the McSherry case. And Mr. McSherry is a public nuisance. This has been going on 10 years. He has an established police record. He's also a green card holder, for Christ's sakes. This council owes it to Ms. Donardi some sort of explanation, or you're going to find yourself sued. And the other thing is, I've come to numerous meetings where when you give an ABC license, you ask the police chief or you ask the police, are there any comments? Is there any reason this person shouldn't have that license? What's going on here? This has been going on 10 years. Is this how we treat women? This is on video. And then we failed, Mr. McDowell, failed from the beginning to the end on this thing, and the assault charge is supposed to go away. I find it interesting that the assault charge is going to go away when the assault charge would have taken away his license. Now we're being told that the intoxication charge is the same sentence, so it'd be the same thing and we don't have to charge him for the assault. This woman's got $6,500, $7,000 worth of medical bills that were presented to the city immediately, and nothing's happened. So now the citizens of this community expect that the municipal judge, the circuit judge, the municipal attorney, everybody erred in this to where Mr. McSherry walks. I can tell you right now, 10 years ago when I started this, and it was McSherry, I told him, I said, he'll do it again, and he did. And then it was Knoll, and I said, watch, he'll do it again, and he did. And now it's Paula Donardi. And in between there, he did it 4 or 5 times where he walked out or citizens didn't press charges. I think you're in a very bad position, and this looks horribly bad. I think the council should take some sort of action on this. Every one of these charges with McSherry are alcohol related. Every single one. And every one except Knoll involves a woman. Don't tell me we can't do better than this. This is you. This is the council. This is on you. You can do something about this. And you should. I hope that you will read Untimely Filed in the Lagniappe and that you've been following this case in the Lagniappe, because they are printing some very, very disturbing facts in here. We're not hearing anything from anybody as a justification or explanation of what went on. Also hope you read the Straw Man series in Lagniappe, because you'll see some of my future allegations starting to pop up by other people in court involving members of the council. On the McSherry case, you need to do something. This is not right, it's not fair, it's not justice, and it's a very, very bad look as to how we treat women in this town. And it's on video, for Christ's sakes.
I'm going to add to that and be on record that I did ask Marcus, our city attorney, to recuse himself from this case because his firm dropped the ball on it with his wife, and I knew it was going to happen, and here we are today. It is absolutely deplorable. There is no excuse for it, and we have to do better. There's no excuse for it.
Did you want to make some comments,
yeah,
Mr. McDowell?
Both to the mayor and Mr. Rip. I could explain criminal procedure and criminal law to you, but to be honest with you, I can't make you ever understand it because you don't want to. It's a political issue for both of you, and there are criminal issues that are still proceeding against Mr. McSherry. Rule 15.1 Alabama Rules of Criminal Procedure allow us to refile this. We plan on refiling it. Out of the 60, 70,000 cases that I've dealt with over the last 10 to 12 years in this city, I have never drafted or authored one complaint, not one. It is not my job to do it. I did not do it in this case.
You missed the deadline.
I'm talking.
You missed the deadline.
No, Mayor, that's not right.
Yes, you did.
I dismissed the appeal because it is quicker to get this case to trial if we go back and refile it as a new complaint. The rules of criminal procedure, again, I told you, I can explain.
No, you haven't told me anything because you don't talk to
I
me.
just said that to you. I can tell you that. I will never make you understand it because you don't want to understand it, okay?
You
Anyway,
always tell me I don't understand
our
something,
plan
and it is the
is
most
to go
ridiculous
ahead.
thing ever,
Our plan
because
is to go
I have
ahead
other
and
attorneys
refile
looking
the
at this,
complaint.
and they know that what is going on is wrong.
You hadn't talked to an attorney that knows anything about rules, and wherever.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
So are you saying that Matt McDonald doesn't understand the rules?
He's not a criminal
Can he
lawyer.
finish?
It doesn't matter. He
Can he
absolutely
finish?
knows what happened here.
Okay, I would like to hear the rest of what the attorney has to say about this. I mean,
That
he was
case-
attacked. I want to hear the
In
defense.
that case, we tried the defendant in the case. He was convicted in this court in a trial. He then appealed it. A judge dismissed the case. We appealed that. Based on a COVID order, we had a time frame to appeal the case that was extended to April 20th. We filed our appeal on the 17th. There was a subsequent COVID order that said there was non-jurisdictional issues that were not included in the original COVID order, and so we elected to dismiss our appeal. We then we're now going to move to refile the complaint pursuant to rule, I believe it's 15.1, that allows us to do that. It tolls the statute of limitations. That case will be retried here. That is a much quicker venue for the victim and for the witnesses in this case than going back and issuing a 1.5 to 2-year appeal process and then coming back and have to try it. So it's just specious and just, you don't know what you're talking about, and you don't
I absolutely know what I'm talking about on this. And you know what?
And Mayor,
I
if you
asked
have
for
not-
a full report on this,
May
and
I
Matt
speak?
asked you to. I just let you speak.
May I
I'm
speak,
going,
Mr. President? I'm the one-
I am going to speak too, okay?
I'll let you get a chance, but can he please finish? He hasn't finished yet.
Yeah. This case, the old cases were consolidated, and they were told, we talked to the victim in the case who moved out of state. Your complaints about how it was screwed up was nothing to do with us, nothing to do with me.
The victim wasn't called, and I verified with Tut that she should have been called.
Second.
I'm going to say something here.
Then
This
do
city
it after
attorney.
the meeting, Mayor.
this-
You're holding
this
us up,
city
and
attorney-
we don't agree with anything you're saying, so wait, and all you
I
gotta
won't.
do is interrupt this gentleman. You will not
He's
let him
talked
speak.
the whole
I make a
time.
motion, we adjourn this meeting.
That's fine. I'll continue
Have a motion. Do I have a
videoing
second?
this.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, say nay.
You guys do a lot of shouting at women.
Mr. Holbert and damn the torpedoes, Supremes missed the case to set the judge right. Meanwhile, as Stankowski oversaw the civil case, he allowed McSherry's attorney to run amok with a bunch of insane allegations that had absolutely zero bearings on whether McSherry had knocked Donardi off the bar stool and hurt her. The judge let attorney James Pittman go wild with a wacko theory that this newspaper, Fairhope Mayor Karen Wilson, blogger myself, Paul Ripp, and attorney Harry Steele were working in cohorts to destroy McSherry's already destroyed reputation. I'm glad that he wrote it that way.
Just like we've been destroying the reputation of Sheriff Mack and some of these other guys, you know,
Right.
Like they need our help.
Oh, well, at the center of it will be the guy who really shouldn't be is the guy that shouldn't really be on the bench. Holbert refers to Stankowski as Stanky, and I can assure you that little nickname is going to stick. And if you voted, he goes on to say, if you voted for Stanky, I urge you to pay close attention to him for the next couple of years. If you're someone with integrity who understands and cares about the law and won't be a good old boy backwater judge, consider running. Baldwin deserves better. And that is true. We need better judges, and this type of stuff is just completely corrupt. And I remind you folks that just last week we had these slapping McMillan there, slapping Mike, walked away from his thing with Judge Reed, where Judge Reed said, so what does the court do? Now, remember, this is all on video, and Reed says, so
Both
what
of
does,
them.
yeah, both of these. So what does the court do? You have to fall back on the law, he said. The state is not required to convince guilt beyond all doubt, but beyond all reasonable doubt. I have to say in this case, because of the contradictory nature of evidence, which I don't understand what was so contradictory. It was on film. My mind, his mind, Reed, which I think is probably pretty shallow. My mind is left in the condition where I cannot say the defendant is guilty beyond all reasonable doubt. So I find the defendant not guilty.
And you got to remember, I was there for the cross of the victim witness, and the judge let all of this testimony come in that had nothing to do. It was all things that allegedly happened after the mayor slapped the magistrate. Why in the hell was that let into evidence?
And
why wasn't there an objection by the state?
And things got weirder and weirder.
And one more time, go back to this case. There, the McSherry case. They're saying, oh, well, all these things happened after, the incident. I mean, how in the hell can you and I be involved in a conspiracy that happened after he knocked her off the bar stool?
Well, where it really got weird was 5 days after the suit was filed, the presiding circuit court judge Clark Stankowski personally asked Judge Jody Bishop
I don't think
case.
you should say that, but you go right ahead. You're a big boy and you can say what you want to.
I'm reading it.
Okay.
If he wants to call him Stanky, I think that's pretty good. And look, folks, I'll tell you something. You think you're not going to get anything in court. You go to court, you don't have any assurance of anything fair coming to you. The only thing that we found through the RIP report that works is public humiliation, bringing this out in the public, letting the public know what's going on behind their back. Judge Stankowski personally asked Judge Jody Bishop to transfer the case to his docket. It was originally signed to Bishop, but he told Lagniappe Stankowski asked for the new case because he had presided over an appeal for an unrelated criminal conviction with McSherry had in Fairhope. Municipal court for drunkery and threatening artist Noel Hollis in 2017. Now, McSherry's case comes up
I think it's called public intoxication.
Well, that's
I like
drunkery, public drunkery.
It's called. He's got it in here as drunkery. I'm reading it, but
it must have been the 1890 criminal code.
Now that case is this week, isn't it, Harry? Or
I think it was yesterday.
I don't know what happened on that. You could Google that and see what happened. Public intox. They probably let him walk and gave him a bottle of scotch to go with it. Anyway, folks, if you're not worried about your judges and you're not worried about what's going on around here, sooner or later, it's going to touch you and then you're going to get interested. But this case really, really stinks. I hope everybody follows it. And any women, why in the world you would ever take your family to McSherry's to have to that restaurant, I do not know, but that's up to you.
So, Paul, are you aware that if you want to make a claim against a municipality, you have to inform the circuit? I'm sorry, not the circuit clerk, the city clerk within 6 months of the incident.
Right.
So from the time Marcus McDowell failed to refile the criminal complaint that you were talking about that was dismissed and they gave him another opportunity and he didn't do it, Ms. Donardi had 6 months to file a claim. And there were two different ways you could go with it. And the reason nobody wanted to touch the case is it's almost impossible to prove negligence when you were doing your job in your official capacity. Remember how we talked about all this qualified immunity?
Right.
Right.
Protecting you if you made an honest mistake.
So Ms. Donardi filed a certified statement of claim with the city against the city saying, you did this, it wasn't negligence. You did it on purpose, and we're going to prove you did it on purpose. So the fireworks are far from over with. And oh, let's not forget this. I'm sleeping with the sword hanging over me. You know, Stankowski has ordered me to turn over all of my communications with the Lagniappe newspaper. Some of them may be attorney-client privilege information of yours, Mr. Rip,
Right.
or some other clients.
Mm-hmm. Well,
and if I did that, you probably wouldn't file a bar complaint against me, but Ms. Donardi would, and the Lagniappe would, and I would be disbarred. That's the kind of bizarre things that go on in a county where the sheriff is in charge, and that's all I'll say about it. I'm looking forward to it.
Pay attention to your judges. The only way you're going to change it is the same thing we're going through today, and that's voting. If you don't vote, don't bitch.